All right, out here at Central Texas Harley Davidson. I rode the Road Glide earlier, but I didn't have my camera working fast enough to get into the line. But I'm gonna do a street glide now, so I'll hook it up to the mic so we can talk about it. But here's the setup. It came out on a Friday. It gets real busy out here on these demo days on Saturdays, so I came out here on a Friday to check it out. Never rode a Road Glide or a street glide, so Road Glide was awesome. We'll see what the street glide is. I'll kind of give my comparisons when I actually get on the bike. All right, peace. Here it is, what I'm riding today. 2024 117 street glide. You know, these demo days, you don't really get a chance to mess around with this stuff too much. I did have the radio on, but I didn't really turn it up very loud. All right, time for safety briefing. Alrighty. Alright, I can kind of already tell that I like the Road Glide better. Oh shit, guys. So if you didn't know, the only real difference between the Road Glide and the street glide is this fairing in front of you. With the Road Glide, it's fixed, meaning it doesn't move when you move the handlebars. And of course, this one is not fixed. So as you move the handlebars around, got some tunes going.
Listen on the free iHeartRadio.
You just don't get enough time on these demo rides to really play around with all the electronics and stuff. I don't even really know what's going on with it, to be honest. There's plenty of videos out there showing all that fun stuff. So you got, obviously with the aftermarket stuff, you can put taller screens on here. This gives you a little one option here that you can deflect some wind. I did notice on the Road Glide,
it's starting to sprinkle, so if the ground gets wet, I have to cancel the ride one.
Okay.
Terminate it.
Okay. Starting to sprinkle a little bit. I don't know if you could hear that. Starting to sprinkle a little bit. He's got to terminate the ride if it. It's otherwise pretty beautiful day here in Austin, but there's these kind of goofy rain clouds. So gut feeling, right? Sitting on the bike. Obviously the handlebar situation is not good. It's definitely better on the Road Glide for me personally, but that's kind of an easy fix. It is, as you can tell here, if you want to do a bar upgrade, so a little bit more work to get back in there to do that, but you definitely would need some higher bars, that's for sure. Since the fairing is attached, the front end does, obviously when you're at a standstill, when you get riding, it's probably not the weight of the bike and all that stuff will take that off, but it does feel a little bit heavier when you're at a stop. So I definitely feel at the same speed when I was on the Road Glide. I definitely feel more wind. I hear more wind. It's definitely a little noisier of a ride. The bike obviously feels almost exactly the same engine wise and just throttle response and everything else as the Road Glide. These are stock bikes. Getting out on I-35 here. And it's like 3 o'clock on a Friday, so right before Mother's Day as well too. So the traffic is a little sketch. I mean, obviously, I think if I was seriously in the market for either of these bikes right now, my gut tells me that it would be a Road Glide for me. Just kind of the seating, I mean, everything, just kind of the ergonomics of the bike here forward. But it would definitely be one of those things that you would have to go take a ride. You'd have to go actually not do one of these kind of rides and actually go ride the bike, because when you do these demo days, this is what you do. This is what's out in front of you. Wow. When you lay on this thing compared to laying on my bike, it is like totally different experience. I've only had my bike upgraded for a couple months, but after riding like that for a couple thousand miles, when you get on a stock bike, it's like, holy crap, what a difference. You know, all the things, right? You would need a new seat for sure. The stock seat isn't totally horrible, but you definitely need a new seat. And I don't know why, but on the Street Glide, I just feel like I sit more up on top of the bike, whereas on the Road Glide, I feel like I'm more in the bike. And obviously it's, you know, it's the fairing. Ooh, it's getting warm. I'm not looking forward to summer. And forward controls. That's an interesting one to try to get used to, and I didn't really set my mirrors very good before I left either. Forward control is a little interesting to get used to as well too. Your feet are pretty good ways out there compared to that mid controls. Although I feel like on the Lowrider ST, those are more like a hybrid forward mid control, because they are pretty good way forward. In fact, if I move my feet back on these foot pegs back here, if I move my feet back, it definitely feels very similar to riding on the Lowrider ST. But just the comfort, like the suspension and everything, I mean, it's definitely a much more refined, much smoother ride. Without question, as you would expect on a touring platform. Yeah, there's some elements of it that just even riding it for just a little bit are kind of growing on me. But again, if I was really about to put down 30-40 grand for one of these bikes, I would have to get some time on both of them to just go ride under my own conditions. Man, super nice, very comfortable. Stock seat is definitely more squishy than the stock Lowrider ST seat, and it's definitely more squishy than the Lapera seat that I've got on my Lowrider ST right now. But she's nice and nimble, you know. I mean, it's not, you don't feel like you're riding a Suburban or something. Few little raindrops coming down. I was really digging the Road Glide when I first started riding, but I just felt like as a new rider it was just too much bike, and I probably was right. It's not a thing at all after riding that Lowrider ST for a while to get on this thing though and riding around. Feels real similar. I mean, obviously the tank and stuff is wider. In the Lowrider ST, it's a bigger tank. I think you get another gallon, maybe 2 in the tank. But man, these bars would have to way come up. You can see how low they are to my shoulder. That would be obviously one of the first things that I would do. I forgot how not a fan I am of the stock brake and clutch pulls. You can see the video on my channel. I've got the 1-finger adjustable grips on my bike, and it does make it makes a huge difference. It's an interesting thing on the Street Glide too. Like, I feel like on the Road Glide, I'm just looking at like the speedometer and the tach and everything. The display is kind of like in my field of view. Like, I don't have to look down at it. But on the Street Glide, I just feel like I'm sitting on top of the bike. I'm sitting up so high on the bike that I physically have to like take my eyes down to look at that. Again, just, you know, it's just the ergonomics. You can see why it's kind of a polarizing conversation. Road Glide, Street Glide, like Coke or Pepsi kind of a thing. And it really just kind of comes down to your own personal opinions and preferences. I would definitely, again, before pulling triggers on these bikes, I would definitely want to take these guys out into the twisties a little bit and see how it rides like that. It's cool to see the Lowrider ST like that though. I hardly ever, I know they sold a boatload of those here in the Austin area, but I hardly ever see one. In fact, I've only seen one other Lowrider ST out in the wild here. So kind of cool to see one of those on the road. Yeah, I think for me, if I had to pick Road Glide, Street Glide right now, it's definitely a Road Glide for me, for sure. I'm certain that I could get a Street Glide set up the way that I wanted it for it to be super comfortable and for me to enjoy it as much as I did riding the Road Glide. But yeah, the bars thing is the biggest deal for me right now. And on the Lowrider ST, on a new setup without any new bars, you're almost like, you know, hunched over like this, reaching down for them. You definitely don't feel that here because the bars kind of angle back a little bit more. Stock on the Lowrider ST, they're kind of out here, where they're back here on the Road Glide and the Street Glide. But totally, you know, from the the fairing situation is very different, and ultimately it's up to whoever's sitting on the thing what they happen to like best. I feel like, for me at least anyway, I'm 6 feet, 32-inch inseam, a couple 100 pounds. I just feel like the seating position, the ergonomics and stuff would just be easier for me to work with on a Road Glide. I could get there faster. I could get to maximum kind of ergonomic bliss
faster on a road glide than I could on this bike. I mean, I could get there on this, I can tell you. But it's interesting, at this 55, 60 mile an hour speed, I get a lot more kind of buff, you know, a lot more buffeting. It's not super bad. I mean, it's not like, but again, these are cruisers, so what you'd have to do is get out on the road where you're going 70, 80 miles an hour or higher, depending on how you ride, and figure out what's going on there too. But again, all this stuff is interchangeable. You can get all new stuff there. To make it work. But super comfy. You could definitely, you know, compared to a lowrider ST, you could definitely feel that extra 100-something pounds when you're at a stoplight, that's for sure. That is so much different. Man, I just literally yanked the throttle all the way back, and it was like I was riding a moped compared to my 117. That's hilarious. Ain't nothing that the Cyclorama 483 can't fix. Yeah, so anyway, if you can get over to a Harley dealer that's doing these demo days, they do I didn't realize it. I didn't even know where to go sign up, but apparently there was something you could do online to set up. But they basically do it in like hour blocks. So it's not just like you just show up and you just grab a bike and you just go ride out on your own. They do these every hour on the hour kind of guided rides. These are guys from, the guy up in the front there is from the Central Texas Harley owner group. Which I'm a member of, but I don't participate all that often. I like riding by myself. You know, you ride with these guys and it's really fun and it's good company and all that stuff, but you know, when you're riding in these groups like this, they don't really ever, everybody goes the speed limit and nobody ever really yanks the throttle very much. You know, there's not really place to do that, so that's kind of the fun of riding. But it's also fun meeting new people, and I've been on a couple day long trips with some of these folks, and they're just wonderful. It's funny, when I pull the brake in, the vibration on the bike is like more than twice as much. Just yanking the brake in, can feel the bike. Very interesting. See a little Brooks and Dunn here. That sounds like shit. It's a little weird getting used to that forward control. And honestly, in my opinion, that stereo sounds like garbage. Let me crank it up here. It's not bad. Given the environmental situation. Yeah, it could work. Obviously, it'd probably be better. This bike is stock, so there's no sub or any. There's no speakers in the bags or any of that kind of stuff, which would make it a lot better. Overall, though, we're getting close to the end of the ride here, but overall, this is really cool. I've been wanting to do this for a while. obviously wanted to just get real comfortable riding my bike and all that stuff, so that getting on a little bit bigger of a bike. But if you're on a Softail, I'm telling you, it's not that big of a jump. It's just the ergonomics you got to get used to. But once you get comfortable with a Softail and the weight of a Softail, it's a pretty easy transition to this guy. Especially if you're on a Heritage or something that's already got forward controls. Same kind of setup configuration. Super dig it. $76 miles. I remember when my bike had 76 miles on it. So you got that. Got a station list. I know there's some way to like, oh, there you go, you can change the oil temp, tire pressure. Oh, now you change all the other stuff. I dig it, man. After kind of getting used to it a little bit, I get it. I can definitely see how some folks prefer this, or it's their preferred. It just was really weird. It just got a weird feeling. I'd never ridden a bike like that before, with this kind of a movable fairing setup. Obviously at a stop, it's a little heavier on the front end to mess around with, but of course, just like any motorcycle really that's balanced well, once you get going, you don't really feel the weight of it at all. But I can definitely see how somebody would dig this a little bit better than they would a Road Glide. But I still think for me, and it would take a more thorough ride, that's for sure, but I still think the Road Glide is the right bike for me if I was going to go touring. I have no idea. Part of what might be the problem here is a ride mode. I don't know how to change it, but it'd be a little bit better if it was in a like a sport mode or something. Good times, everybody. When your local dealer does the demo days, try to get down on a Friday. I know at my dealer down here, it's way better. I walked over. I didn't have an advance appointment or anything. Walked over here, or just drove up basically, and then 15 minutes did the Road Glide. Messed the camera up of it. And there we go. Demo days at Central Texas Harley Davidson. That was fun. First time I've ever done that. First time I've ever actually like demo ridden a bike. That's pretty fun. Yeah. Outstanding.